Hello, students. So, today we are going to start with a new topic of sociology, that is aims of Hindu marriage, and we are going to also discuss about Hindu marriage is a sacrament and the latest and the recent changes which are coming in Hindu marriage, or we can say that the recent trend in Hindu marriage. So, let's understand what are the aims of Hindu marriage. Marriage and family, we all know that the two social institutions with biological foundations are complementary to each other. Both have a long standing history of their own. In the Indian context, also, both the institutions have been in existence since time immemorial. In the Hindu social heritage, marriage has never been looked at from the materialistic point of view. Marriage among the Hindus is a sacrament and not a contract. The Rig Veda itself speak of the sanctity of the institution of marriage. The tie of a marriage was regarded, even at that stage, also as a binding force all through life. Marriage was a ritual which enjoined the husband to regard his wife as a God given gift. Centuries have rolled down on since then. The Hindu marriage, though it has undergone vast changes, has not totally lost its sanctity. If we talk about the Hindu marriage, so Hindu marriage a religious duty, not a contract. Marriage is a matter of religious duty for Hindus. Every Hindu is committed to marriage for the regard it is as a great sacrament. Sacrament means we can say that it is like vibha sanskar, sacred, it is vibha sanskar. For the Hindus, marriage is not a matter of social contract, nor it is deemed as a license for the sex life. In the Hindu scheme of the ashramas, one can enter the much praised grihastha ashrama only after the marriage. With the marriage sacrament, man and woman as husband and wife establish family, the home, or the grih. And if you talk about among the Hindus, marriage is not a social contract; it is a religious sacrament. We can say marriage to a Hindu is of great individual and social significance. It is socially approved union of man and woman aiming at procreation. Procreation means producing baby, pleasure and observance of certain social obligation. So, the aim of Hindu marriage are as follows. The Hindu marriage is as I told you, that it is a sacrament, and the aims of Hindu marriage are as follows: Dharma, second Praja or progeny, third is Kam, and fourth is Rin, and fifth is socio-cultural continuity. So the religious texts of many communities in India have outlined the purpose, rights, and duties involved in marriage. Among the Hindu, for instance, marriage is regarded as a socio-religious duty. Ancient Hindu texts point out the three main aims of marriage. These are dharma, that means religious duty; praja means progeny of or bearing of child; and rati, that is a sexual pleasure. So we have seen that the sexual pleasure was put in the third category. Beside these, there are also other aims of Hindu marriage like rina and the socio-cultural continuity. So let's discuss about the aims of Hindu marriage according to K.M. Kapadia. The aims of Hindu marriage, according to K.M. Kapadia, are dharma, praja, and rati. So, dharma, according to dharma, the Hindu thinkers regard dharma as the first and the highest aim of Hindu marriage. Marriage is is a desired not so much for sex or for the children as for acquiring a partner for the fulfillment of one's religious duty. On the marriage, the sacred fire is kindled, and it is the duty of the householder to offer panch mahayachna daily in the company of his wife. These obligations would cease to exist only on the death of the householder. uh, they, they, uh, they get disturbed on the death of the wife, and hence the householder could marry immediately a second wife. The basic aim of marriage is the fulfillment of dharma, for its necessity uh, involves the fulfillment of number of moral duties. Or if we can say that the highest aim of the marriage according to Hindu thinkers was dharma. For a Hindu, marriage is meant for the fulfillment of dharma or religious duties. As K.M. Kapadia says, marriage is desired not so much for the sex or for the progeny as for obtaining a partner for the fulfillment of one's religious duties. It is the duty of the householder to offer Panchmaha Yachna in the company of his wife. If the wife dies, the householder must take a second wife for performing his obligations and duties, as such wife is a religious necessity for Hindus. The second of praja, or we can say progeny. The desire to get issues or children is completely felt by all people. Psychologists call it a parental instinct. The desire for praja or progeny is regarded by the Hindu Shastrakaras as one of the sacred purpose of marriage. The Upanishad have also stressed on the continuance of the line of progeny. Getting a son is essential for Hindus, for it is believed that one can fulfill one's pitrurin, or means parental obligation duty, by getting a son. It is the Kutumba Dharma also. In one of the important marriage ritual called Saptapadi, also the husband prays to wife to fetch children for the family. So we have seen that the second aim of the Hindu marriage is the procreation of children, particularly a male child. It is believed that the putra, or the son, saves the father from going to hell. Therefore, the birth of the male child has been so elevated among the Hindus that procreation has become a religious duty. Thus, the Hindu thinkers regarded procreation as a duty in the interest of both the family and the community, as well as for one's own salvation. Procreation is regarded as the second most important aim of Hindu marriage. K.M. Kapadia has remarked, when the Hindu thinkers regarded dharma as the first and the highest aim of marriage and procreation as the second best, dharma dominated marriage. Third is rati, or calm, or sex gratification. Though sex is one of the function of marriage, it is given the third place. It is the least desirable aim of marriage. To stress the lower role of sex in marriage, the marriage of Shudra is said to be for pleasure only. The Brahmic legislation enjoins that the Shudra's wife could be taken only for pleasure. However, sex is never condemned or degraded. It is given the third place because dharma is more expected of viva than kama. So sex is one of the aim of the marriage, but it is the least desirable aim of marriage, and that is why it is given the third place by the Hindu. Hence, it is found that the sex has been given a secondary role in the Hindu marriage. Although sex is important for the healthy development of personality of an individual, Hindu thinkers did not consider it to be the sole aim of marriage. Then a few thinkers discuss about the rina, or debt, is also the aim of Hindu marriage. So they are supposed to be the three debts which a man has to repay in his life. These debts are Devrin, Rishirin, and the Pitrurin. There are total five rins, the Matrurin also, Bhumirin also. The first rin is towards a God who created the universe and gave us life. The second brain is towards our teachers who enable us to fulfill our obligations. The third one is towards our ancestor who gave us birth, as well as there is another brain for the mother, because mother give birth to a child, rear a child, and nurture her, and these are the obligatory duties for a person. So that's why the marriage is essential. and after marriage a son is the need of dharma, social culture continuity. Hindu marriage has two dimensions approaches. First of all, the continuity of society. It is obligatory for an individual to establish a household and procreate, means to produce baby and to provide new member to society. Second, it is the duty of every householder to pass on the culture traditions of his kull to the next generation. So we have seen that the second aim of Hindu marriage is the continuity of the race, hence getting a son is necessary and important in Hindu family. Manu says that the chief aim of marriage is procreation. Rati, we have already studied that the last aim of the Hindu marriage is the Rati satisfaction, sexual gratification or satisfaction of sex instinct, which is the realization of divine bliss. It is the chief aim of Hindu marriage. If we talk about the important right associated with the Hindu marriage, among the Hindus, there are certain rites which must be performed for marriage to be completed. The main rites are Vada, Kanyadan, Home, Panigrahan, Saptapadi, Mangal Dharma. These are the rites and the importance attached to them have added to the sanctuary of the Hindu marriage. And the number one, if we discuss about the Vadna, means oral promise. In the presence of the people gathered for the marriage, the name of Gotras and the Parivars of the bride and the bridegrooms are announced, along with the announcement that they are ready for marriage. This ritual is known as Pani Sanskar or Vadna. Home. Home means yachna or havan. Home refer to the offering in the sacred fire. A number of homes to fire rituals are observed in the marriage, of which Lajja home is important. This home is symbolic and of the fecundity and prosperity. A bread grain dipped in ghee and are offered to fire, that is the Lord Agni, by the couple with a prayer of the god requesting him to bless them with the progeny and prosperity. Then next is the Kanyadan. This is the most important ceremony connected with marriage. It is the ceremony of giving away the bride as a gift to the bridegroom in the presence of the sacred fire and in the presence of the people gathered, their relatives, family members. The father of the bride gifts her away to the bridegroom with a promise on his part that he would not transgress her in the attainment of the pity, wealth, desire. The same promise is repeated thrice, and the bridegroom affirms his promise thrice. Then is Panigrahan or holding the hand of the bride. This ritual refers to taking the right hand of the bride with the word, I seize thy hand for the sake of happiness that you may live to old age with me. With this, the bridegroom taken the responsibility of looking after the bride. After this, there is Mangal Dharma or tying, there is Mangal Dharma, or we can say that the tying of Mangal Sutra. This involves the act this involves the act of tying the tali or the Mangal Sutra, which is regarded as the sign of longevity, longevity of the husband, of the husband. So a Mangal Sutra, tying the tali or the Mangal Sutra round the neck of the bride by the bridegroom. So this ritual, for which there is no reference in the Dharma Shastras, is more in practice in South India than in the North. It has even influenced the Catholic Christians of the South. Uh, Also, UP and Odisha, the binding part of the marriage ceremony is Sindurdan or Sindurdan or painting of the part of the hair on the bride's forehead with the vermilion, and putting the lakh bangles in her hands by the groom. Saptapadi. And Saptapadi, this is the ritual in which the bride and the bridegroom move towards 7 steps, go to 7 step together. The husband make the bride step forward in the northern direction, 7 step with the word, 1 step for sap, 2 for juice, 3 for wealth, and 4 for comfort, 5 for cattle, 6 for season and friend. Be with 7 step said 7 step united to me. This ritual is important from the legal point of view. For the Hindu, marriage is regarded legally complete only after it is performed. So, these rites are they are necessary for marriage to be completed, because when they or any of them are not properly performed, the marriage may be legally questioned. Hindu marriage is a sacrament. It is considered sacred because it is said to be completed only on the performance of the sacred rites, accompanied by the sacred formulas. So, sacred belief and values involved in the Hindu marriage. Uh, uh, the Hindu marriage is a sacrament from the point of view of the sacred beliefs and the values. The number one, if we discuss sacred belief and the values involved in Hindu marriage, then first is indissoluble marital bond. So, according to the traditional Hindu belief, marital bond is said to be inseparable and irrevocable. The parties to the marriage cannot dissolve it at will. They are bound to each other until the death of either of them. The belief states that the wife is supposed to be bound to her husband even after his death. This concept of marriage has in has this concept of marriage that is indissoluble is itself a sublime one, which make the husband and the wife to adjust their taste, temper, choices and preferences. It is that involved sacrifices on the part of both husband and wife for each other is called upon to bear with the other. Each individual is here called upon to make marriage a success by means of compromise and adjustment. So, in Hindu marriage is an indissoluble marital bond. Belief that marriage is a social duty towards the family and the community. The conflict the question of the conflict between the husband and the wife did not perhaps arise in old days, for it never involved purely individual interest. The husband never expected any intellectual cooperation from wife's side. The wife was more a passive partner in the performance of the right duties than an intellectually active participate in all his affairs. Marriage was a social duty towards the family of the community, and there was a little idea of individual interest. So, the third is the ideal of pativrata associated with the marriage. As per the ideal pativrata popularized by the Puranic writers, the wife is expected to be the devoted to her husband alone. It implies that the fidelity and the modest service to the husband are the sole duty and the main purpose in her life. As a river merging itself completely in the ocean loses its identity, so a wife is supposed to merge her individuality with that of her husband. Her only concern in life is to provide all services to the husband. For the satisfaction of husband is her sole joy in life. The wife is expected to prove herself as a real sati with all dedication and reverence to the husband. The glorification of sati system. The ideal of the pativrata was stretched too much. It made the wife to be not only attached to the husband as long as he lived, but even after his death, because a sati could never uh, conceive of a second marriage or the second husband. Hence, on the death of husband, the wife had either to live uh, uh, chastely or renouncing all the joys of life, or to follow her husband by jumping into the funeral pyre. The idea of pativrata gave rise to and glorified the practice of sati, or self immolation. With the passing of time, the idea of Pativrata became deep rooted in the mind of the Hindu woman that sati became not only a customary but a woman's highest aspiration. Last, marriage, the only sacrament for women. The Hindu marriage is a sacrament in another sense also. A Hindu male goes through the performance of several sacraments during the course of his life. These begin with the laying of fetus and with the laying of the fetus and end with the cremation of his body. For the Hindu women, marriage is said to be essential, for it is the only sacrament that can be performed for her. The Hindu women normally prefer to marry and aspire to marry, for they know that the unmarried women are always put to hardship in the Indian social setup. Now the question arises, does the Hindu marriage continue to be a sacred? And let's discuss more about it, that the recent change trend in Hindu marriage. So we can say that the Hindu marriage has gone undergone the changes in the last few decades. These changes have given rise to these changes we can notice and rise to question, does the Hindu marriage continue to be sacred? Second, has it lost its sanctity or it is to be treated as a contract? Three significant changes can be noticed. The three significant changes in the Hindu marriage may be noted here. The Hindu young men and women today marry not very much for performing religious duties but for the lifelong companionship. Second, the marital relation are no longer treated as unbreakable or irrevocable, as a divorce is socially and legally permissible. Third, the idea of pativrata has lost its significance, for there is a legal provision for widow and the remarriage and divorce. So, right now we have the discuss about the changes in the Hindu marriage have not affected its main character. Widow remarriages and the divorce have not become the order of the day. Though they are legally permitted, they are still looked down upon socially. Mutual fidelity and the devotion of the partner are still considered to be an essence of marriage. Changes are taking place, no doubt, in the Hindu marriage, but they are not disturbed its universality and the damage its sanctity. So let's discuss about the changes which are coming in the Hindu marriage. Change in the form of marriage can be seen, change in the aim of the marriage can be seen, change in the process of mate selection can be seen, change in the age of marriage, change in the stability of marriage. So there are various changes which are coming in the society. So change in the form of marriage, the traditional forms of Hindu marriage, like Dev Viva, Brahma Viva, Ash Viva, Prajapat, Asur Viva. There are 8 type of vivas are no more in practice. Polygamy, polyandry, and even the bigamy are also not found, for they are legally prohibited. Only the monogamous marriages are universally practiced. Second, change in the aim and the purpose. The traditional Hindu marriage considered dharma as the primary object, whereas the modern Hindus give more importance to lifelong companionship between husband and wife. Marriage is taking place not very much for the performance of the religious duty, but for obtaining lifelong companionship, a good friend of the individual of the opposite sex. Change in the process of mate selection. In the three areas of the mate selection, the significant changes can be seen. Field of selection has become very wide now. It is wide enough to include inter, subcaste, and intercaste marriages. Second, parents do not take an active role in the selection of life partner of their children. The practice of young men and women selecting their life partner themselves is becoming very popular today. Third, much importance is given to the individual interests, preferences, considerations rather than to family considerations. So, like people are opting for the career first. This trend has reflected in the increase in the instance of the love marriages. Next, the change in the age of marriage. Child marriage uh, are virtually not found now, as the present Marriage Act in 1978 amended the Child Marriage Restraint Act 1929. A boy below 21 and a girl below 18 year cannot marry. Change in the stability of marriage. Legislative provisions for divorce has virtually affected the stability of the marriage. Hindu marriage is no more regarded as indissoluble, and the concept of equality of sex has also affected the value of pativrata. So the another changes can be seen. The more changes can be seen that the change in the economic aspect of marriage. The practice of paying dowry is associated with marriage. This practice has grown into a big social evil today. Bride parents are compelled to pay a huge amount of money as dowry. This practice has made marriage a costly affair now. Marriage are often settled only on considerations of dowry. But we can see the changes because of the education. There are youngsters who are coming forward, and they are not ready to accept the dowries. They do the marriage without dowries. An increase in the we can say rise. There is a divorce in the cases of divorce cases are on a great rise, though the Hindu marriage is regarded as a sacrament. Instances of the divorce and desertion are on the increase. Though these new trends are observed today, the importance of marriage has not diminished. It is still universally practiced, though its sanctity it's affected a little. It is not reduced to the level of mere civil contract. Hindu men and women are still emotionally involved in their marriages. There is no apparent danger as such to the Hindu marriage at present. But we see that there is a rise. We can see there is a rise in the divorce cases nowadays because it has got the legal we can say that the legislative provisions are there for the divorce now. So the modern society, the women, they talk about equality. They are moving forward, and if they find any problem, they just they go for the legal divorce. And the live-in relation also, we see that the change in the live-in relation nowadays. The partners, want to live and want to understand each other before the marriage. So the new concept of the live-in relationship is also going on in the society and can be seen in the society. And the young people and in the modern society, people accept this live-in relationship. So because of this, the marriage is also marriage institution is affected, and many changes can be seen in the society. But then also we are noticing the changes coming in the society, but there is no apparent danger as such as to the Hindu marriage at present, because the reason behind it mm, we can say that Hindu men and women are still emotionally involved in their marriages. The Hindu marriage, we can say it is a sacrament. Still, it is a sacrament. Thank you.